Hey, what's up? Paul Greco with you right here. Fantasy Pros 911. It is Paul's preseason picks, and right now, if you take a look around the room, I am actually on the road here traveling, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to get to you guys and start getting some of these more and intuitive preseason picks. So we've already talked about the catchers. I want to keep it real and move on to first baseman, and I just want to set the record straight here before I get going. There's going to be players that I talk about. There's going to be players that I don't talk about. When we take a look at the catchers, I didn't bring up guys like Brian McCann, and there's reasons because, listen, let's be honest. If you don't know where Brian McCann is on your rankings or what he's going to do to produce this year, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to be straight. I'm going to lay it out on the line. Maybe you shouldn't be playing fantasy baseball. I'm just saying. So when we talk about first basemen, if I don't talk about one of these key first basemen that you really want to talk about, email me. Throw a comment up. And this way we can discuss it. But I'm not going to talk about every first baseman. I want to make sure I touch on a few guys. This way you guys know going in who the guys that I really like or guys that I don't like here at the first base position. Now, when you talk first baseman, of course, probably the first guy we need to talk about is Miguel Cabrera. And in some rankings and on some big sites, like the 4-letter, guys like Miguel Cabrera are dropping out of the first round, dropping all the way from number 3, possibly all the way down to 13th because of the whole DUI situation. Here's my take right now. It is February 22nd. I want to make sure that we put this on the line and talk about it right now. I still like Miguel Cabrera as my number 2 second baseman. This is a guy that can hit 40 home runs. This is a guy that can drive in 110 plus RBI, and a guy that can bat you over 300. And there's not many players in baseball that could produce at that level. Now, if we hear stuff here after his hearings, I might change my mind. But as it stands right now, if I'm going into draft with nothing else except for the fact that this is a guy that can produce, I still like him as my number 2 second baseman. Now, guys like Joey Votto, the reigning NL MVP, are jumping up quickly now and jumping ahead of guys like an Adrian Gonzalez with the numbers that he can produce. I caution a lot of fantasy owners that are asking about him right now, only because I like to see track records. I'm not exactly sure if Joey Votto could put up these exact same numbers he did a year ago. Would I be satisfied with a guy that can hit 30-plus home runs, but less than 35 and drive in 100 RBIs at first base? Yeah, I'm satisfied with that, but I don't think those are the type of numbers where I put him ahead of Adrian Gonzalez just yet. I'm a big fan of Adrian Gonzalez. I like the progress he's made so far, and Adrian Gonzalez is a guy that can hit you 35-plus home runs. But let's temper our expectations a little bit. You know, with the move to Fenway, everybody's exploding on the scene as far as what Adrian Gonzalez can actually really can do. But let's take a look at the numbers and the history of Adrian Gonzalez. This is a guy that's hit 35-plus home runs 3 times in his career, and you have to be happy with that. He's reached even 40 home runs, and this is hitting at Petco Park. So we start throwing projections out there, and I'm seeing, an Adrian Gonzalez less than 40 home runs. I'm still trying to figure out why all the excitement in the fantasy world is about this guy that's moving to Fenway and can hit more home runs there, but then no one's projecting him over 40 home runs. So with that, I still think he's a first rounder. I think that we'll see him progress very quickly throughout spring training, and I think that this is a guy that currently right now could sit in the first round. As we move down, guys like Adam Dunn, he makes a switch from the National League over to the American League, but he moves to Chicago. You want to talk about consistency? This is a guy that's consistently going to hit you 40 home runs. He'll do it again this year in Chicago. I feel very comfortable enough with Adam Dunn that I could select him in the 3rd round. And Adam Dunn, to me, is a guy that can get you 100 RBIs. He'll strike out a ton, but he'll also get on base. Let's not forget his on-base percentage, because of the number of walks he has, is going to be over 350. So you have to like that from a guy in Adam Dunn. Billy Butler is a name that keeps coming up to me. People asking, Paul, what's your expectations on Billy Butler? Can he finally hit 20 home runs? Well, I'll say this. This is the year I see Billy Butler hitting 20 home runs. I like the batting average for Billy Butler. I think he's a guy that can hit you at least 300. But what concerns me is the RBIs. I'm trying to figure out, when I look at this Kansas City lineup, who's going to get on base, who's going to allow Billy Butler to drive him in. That's why I temper it. I bring him all the way down. I think this is a guy that you can get in around the 7th or 8th round and feel comfortable enough. Paul Konerko has the big year last year in Chicago once again. This is a guy that's going to hit you close to 30 home runs. I'm not as high on him as Lenny Melnick is. I know Lenny Melnick and Paul Konerko, sleep together. They're boyfriend, girlfriend. Lenny loves Paul Konerko. Heck, even Mike Podheiser sports the Paul Konerko jersey wherever he goes when he's talking fantasy. This is the year I think we see maybe a little bit of a decline. He doesn't put up the numbers he did a year ago, but in a late round draft pick from a first baseman, you can feel comfortable taking a guy in Paul Konerko because he'll drive in, 90 plus RBI in what I think is a great and fantastical lineup for the Chicago White Sox. Ike Davis. What are we going to do with Ike Davis, the Mets first baseman? Well, hopefully, if you're a Met fan, it's only a rental for this year, and hopefully the Albert Pujols talks will be on the horizon once the Mets get their mess of a financial situation taken care of. But, Ike Davis is a guy I like a lot, and maybe not a lot of people are with me on this. I think Ike Davis is a guy that can hit 25 home runs. I think he has that type of power. I also think that he's a guy that can drive in close to 90 RBI. Everybody talks about, his hands start high, Paul, and then they drop down before they go. Listen, if you've never taught baseball before, if you've never talked to a hitting coach, it's called a load. It's what he does right before he goes to swing. His hands are always in a hitting position right before they go. This is something you should not worry about, and don't listen to those guys that have no idea what they're talking about. Derek Lee moves over from the Atlanta Braves after a midseason trade with the Chicago Cubs. Ends up in Baltimore. Great move. This is a guy that's going in ADPs very late, and I think this is a guy that can help out a lot of fantasy owners, especially if you've already taken a first baseman in the first or second round and you're looking for that corner infield. I like Derek Lee to bounce back. He's reported that he's 100% healthy, which is always good news. I look for Derek Lee to top finally 20-plus home runs. I think this is a guy that can get you close to 25. I don't know if he gets there, but I think he's going to get close, and I think he can get close to 90 RBI again. And again, for a corner infield, and you're looking for some power there, I think Derek Lee's a great fit. He's also going to have a decent batting average. If you look at a guy that's going to hit probably 275 and add that to the mix, I think that's perfect for the position at a corner infield. Some other guys later in the draft I think you can get. Carlos Pena. I know, Paul, the batting average. When you're late in your draft and you're looking for statistics, if you've already put guys in your lineup and selected guys that have good batting average and you're looking to get home runs, remember, mixed league, 12 team, look to sit there and get 300 home runs. This is a guy that can bang it out. I like Carlos Pena a lot. I think this guy to get you over 30 home runs. He's on a 1-year, $10 million contract. He's looking to stay with the Cubs. He's already said, I'd love to sign an extension to stay here. And I'm sure he would, Carlos, because you know the Albert Pujols rumors are going to start the minute you step on the field and start to fail just a little bit. Other guys I think you can get late. Adam LaRoche. This is a guy that always starts off slow. He's in Washington now. He's in a comfort zone. He's got that 2-year deal. Look for him to have another decent season. This is the guy that, again, could get you probably 20-plus home runs, driving 85-plus RBI, and a guy that you can get late. Now, two guys I think you can get even later, and if you're looking to fill that corner field, maybe even a utility spot, I look for guys like Justin Smoke. I look for guys like Freddie Freeman to fill out and round out your lineups. Don't look for these guys to be cornerstones. They're not there yet. But I like a guy in Justin Smoke. A lot of guys probably aren't as high because of where he hits at Safeco Field, but I think he's a guy that can hit you 20 home runs. I think the batting average will be better than 265, and I think he could drive in over 80 runs. He's got tremendous power. He's a Mark Teixeira clone, just probably a little bit less power here going into his second season. And, of course, Freddie Freeman is the sexy name in National Leagues as far as rookies. This is the guy, if he makes the ball club out of spring training, which I think he will, this is a guy that's got 20-plus home run potential, a guy that can drive in 80-plus, and a guy that can hit you 275. And you know what? For a utility spot or even a corner infield, if you get this guy late, who in a lot of ADPs and a lot of mock drafts isn't even getting drafted, he's a guy I think you can feel comfortable enough throwing in your lineup. There's some of the first basemen I'm taking a look at, guys that I'm a little bit high on, guys I'm probably not a little bit high on. You can check out more over at Fantasy Pros 911. Don't forget, if you download the Dollar Digital Magazine, if you go to the end, you get all our rankings, all our updated rankings, all of Lenny's projections as far as auction values, and don't forget the 25% off gets you to the premium content. If you haven't heard, premium content gets you the fantasyalarm.com free account that gets you instant access to information about your players that you're looking to track. And I'll tell you a little secret. Us and Fantasy Alarms are working on a big deal that's going to allow you guys, the ones that are premium content members right now, to potentially, and this is something that we're working on hopefully for opening day, to have in your mailbox when you wake up. Yes, when you wake up, not only Lenny Melnick's great Fantastical Daily podcast, but a box score newsletter that has all the players that you're tracking, all the information on your players in one easy-to-read fantastical newsletter when you wake up in the morning. So those are the things that we're working on here. Fantasy Pros 911. We'll sit there over the course of while I'm here on travel, knock out the second basemen and potentially shortstops, get you guys some great information as you prepare for your draft. Remember, if I didn't touch on a first baseman that you're wanting to know about, drop me a comment here. I'll give you my instant feedback as quickly as I can. And again, if you're part of the premium content, remember the 1-800 number is available to you, as well as the instant emails. All that and more over at FantasyPros911.com. Thanks for checking me out. We'll catch you on the other side talking some second baseman.